Bitcoin, y'all. I'm your host, Zoom Out. Real quick, nothing I'm about to say is financial advice. It's all opinion. And if you decide you want to buy Bitcoin, then talk to a financial advisor. I want to talk a little bit about some news going on with Bitcoin. So there's 2 countries now that have adopted it as legal tender. There's another country, the country of Panama, that looks like is about to pass it as legal. So legal versus legal tender are 2 different things. Legal tender means that when you're in that country, that if you want to pay with that money, if it's legal tender, then the store has to accept it. So in the United States, the US dollar is legal tender. So if you go into a store and you want to buy a sweatshirt, then they have to accept US dollars if you choose to pay for that, because it's legal tender. Making it legal means that the store can choose to accept it, but they don't have to. So if Bitcoin is legal in a country, it doesn't mean that the store has to accept it, but it means that they can choose to accept it. And that's what Panama is looking at doing. That type of framework introduces free market operations to where you would expect, if the people living, the citizens of that country, are the people transacting in that country, if as demand goes up for wanting to use Bitcoin, then the stores would adopt it more and more. That's at least what you would expect. Now, in the United States, there's some positive things going on too. NCR is the largest payment system in North America. It's used by places like McDonald's and Kroger and Publix and Winn-Dixie and a lot of others, Arby's, and they're about to start using Bitcoin's payment rail system to accept payments, and it's kind of a unique, newer technology built on top of Bitcoin that allows you to transfer other types of money over the Bitcoin network. So you could pay in US dollars, but the merchant could choose to use that over the Bitcoin payment system. It's kind of neat because things like Cash App have that integrated into their program, into their software program already. And so you could go in and you could use your Cash App to pay for a sweatshirt at the store because you could do it over the Bitcoin payment rails. So it's just another way to pay, and it does some interesting things on the merchant side with merchant fees, and Visa, MasterCard, and these others have payment rail systems, and they charge to use them, and Bitcoin is less expensive to use. So that could be interesting for the future, but that's some positive adoption. Now, there's countries out there that are looking at banning Bitcoin. I think Venezuela, I saw recently, is looking at putting a total ban on it. So, there are negative things going out there. In the United States, a negative thing is that, for right now, Bitcoin is classified as a security, as a property, in the same way that stocks in the stock market are a property, or owning real estate is. And what that means is that when you sell it, you have to pay capital gains tax on it. And there's short-term capital gains if you've owned it for less than a year. And then there's long-term capital gains, which is a lower tax rate if you've owned it for more than a year. So right now, if a store was accepting Bitcoin and you used Bitcoin to pay, that would be considered a selling event. And even though you're just buying something with it, and you would have to pay capital gains tax on that. So nobody's going to do that, right? Why would you use your Bitcoin and have to pay capital gains tax on it if you have money in your bank account that you could buy it and not pay? So that needs to be worked out. That's a negative thing for it. But the point is that over time, 13 years ago, we were at no adoption. 12 years ago, even 5 years ago, we were at very little adoption. And now we're seeing more and more adoption throughout the world and in the United States. And so assuming that is, again, these are opinions, but it looks like that's going to continue, you would imagine that over time the price will go up with more adoption. Now, right now, the price is going down. And the stock market price is going down. Real estate interest rates are going up, so we'll see, but that'll probably make the prices of real estate going down. And we have some issues from the war in Ukraine going on to other supply chain issues that are causing some big ripples in the market. And then pair that with the fact that inflation is way up, and so the Federal Reserve is starting to raise interest rates. And so the big environment, it's called the macro environment, is in a situation where we're probably going to expect decline in all things, and that includes cryptocurrency. 4-year charts on Bitcoin can be a way to look at things, and let me explain why. Every 4 years, the number of Bitcoin that is released is cut in half. So right now it's 6.25 Bitcoin, roughly they're on an average of every 10 minutes. 2 years from now, so we're about 2 years through it. 2 years from now, that number will cut in half. And 4 years after that, that number will cut in half, and so on. And so if you look at the 4-year chart of Bitcoin, you've seen it on January 1st to December 31st of any given year. Bitcoin has been worth more on January 31st, on December 31st than on January 1st in every year except for 2. And those 2 it's currently 2022, 4 years ago in 2018, and 4 years ago before that in 2014. So I don't have a crystal ball, but if Bitcoin was worth less at the end of this year than at the beginning, it would actually fit with the pattern, and the only thing it would prove is that pattern hasn't been broken. But if that pattern holds true, then this is a great year to buy Bitcoin. It's a great year to accumulate, to take savings that you weren't going to spend anyway and put it into Bitcoin, dollar cost average in. I did a video about that, but that's where you buy a set amount at a recurring time. So let's say it's $10 a week or $10 a day or $100 a week or whatever it is, and you set it up so that you buy the same amount at the same time. That protects you against volatility. It allows you to buy when it's up or down, and it finds the average price throughout a period of time. And what that really does is it protects you against your emotions, because if the price drops, you're not so prone to sell out of that position and take a loss because you're now buying at that price. And that emotional side of things to investing is one of the most difficult things to deal with when you're investing your money that you worked hard for. And then it feels great when it goes up. It feels really bad when it goes down. But if you're dollar cost averaging, you can find some protection of that if you believe in the long-term value of the thing that you're investing in. All right, there's a way to buy the Bitcoin with no transaction fee. What that means is if you want to buy $1 worth at a time, you're not going to have to pay $2.99 like you do on Coinbase to buy Bitcoin. So there's an app called Strike, Strike, in the description below. I'm going to put a link, and it's going to have my info for when you click on it. If you sign up for it, you'll get $10 worth of Bitcoin, and I'll also get $10 worth of Bitcoin. If you click on that link, then it'll have you go through Know Your Customer and attach your bank account, and then you can transfer money over to it. And then you can set up a dollar cost averaging over time so that you can be buying Bitcoin as little as 50 cents at a time, as often as a daily or weekly or monthly, and get some exposure so that long term, if the adoption continues in the world and the price goes up, you end up with a good investment in the sense that you have more money down the road, even if in the short term it goes down. Now, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for listening. Hit the like and subscribe button for me. It helps get my viewership up. And then, I appreciate it. I'll be back.